All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at something, well, it's pretty different. It's a text that takes hard biology and fuses it with this really profound, almost spiritual story about renewing yourself from the inside out. We're going to get into this ancient process called autophagy, but not just as some dry cellular thing. Think of it more like a sacred ritual, one that's all about light and darkness. The source kicks things off with this question, and man, it just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? What good is a lit ember if the furnace remains clogged with undigested yesterdays? And you realize pretty quickly, this isn't just about last night's dinner. It's about everything we take in, the constant information, the endless stimulation, even our own worn-out habits. It's a whole new way of looking at our bodies, right? Not as a machine, but as a furnace that has to burn clean to work right. So how do we do that? Well, our journey starts by meeting a key player in this whole story, a figure the source calls the keeper of the inner sun. So, according to this text, this keeper sits on a throne behind your eyes. And look, this isn't just flowery language. The keeper's main job, it commands rhythm. And it's this rhythm, this ancient pulse of day and night, that's presented as the absolute key to mastering not just our hunger, but our health on a cellular level. And here's the big reveal. The keeper of the inner sun, this poetic, powerful ruler, is actually our suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN. I know, it's a mouthful. But this tiny little cluster of cells deep in our brain, that's our body's master clock. It literally takes the light coming in through your eyes and turns it into signals for your entire body. So all this beautiful, ancient-sounding language is anchored in rock-solid modern neurobiology. How cool is that? So, what actually happens when we start living by the keeper's rhythm? Well, that's when we unlock a process the source calls the sacred self-devouring. The scientific name for this is autophagy, which literally means to eat one's self. But I love how the source describes it. When your body finally gets a break from digesting the outside world, it turns inward. It kicks off this deep, deep house cleaning process, basically eating its own broken, damaged parts to clear the way for new, healthy ones. And you know, this isn't some random demolition job. Autophagy is super specific. It targets the real junk, like misfolded proteins that can cause disease, beat up old mitochondria that can't produce energy anymore, and all this other gunk that just clogs up our system. Just think of it as a microscopic, high-precision cleaning crew. Now, this process doesn't just happen whenever. It's hardwired to a very specific schedule, a rhythm of repair that, let's be honest, our modern world has pretty much thrown out the window. Yeah, we all think of melatonin as the sleep hormone, right? But this text wants us to see it as the high priest of repair. See, during the day when we're eating, a pathway called mTOR is switched on. It's all about growth, and it basically locks the door to autophagy. But when we're in real, genuine darkness, melatonin surges, and it acts like the key that unlocks that door, letting the cellular cleanup begin. And this slide just lays out the problem so perfectly. Our bodies are built for this ancient rhythm, a real day followed by a truly dark night. That's when we're supposed to be doing deep repair work. But what do we have now? Constant light from our screens and constant snacks. The source has this great line for it. The hungry ghosts never stop feasting. Our poor cells never get the peace and quiet they need to clean house. The crazy thing is, this is not new information at all. Ancient traditions have known this for thousands of years. The Vedic rishis had a practice called mitahara, basically moderation in eating. Buddhist monks traditionally have their last meal before noon. And now, modern science is finally catching up, confirming that autophagy really peaks in darkness and identifying the exact genes like ATG5 and LC3 that get flipped on to start the whole process. It's ancient wisdom proven by modern labs. Okay, so we get the why, but what about the how? How do we actually do this? The source gives a very specific step-by-step ritual to get back in sync. The magic number, according to both the source and the latest research, seems to be a fasting window of about 14 to 18 hours. That's how long it takes for this autophagy process to really get going and do its best work. And the really important part? Most of that window needs to happen when it's actually dark outside. And I want to be clear, the text doesn't frame this as some casual lifestyle tip. It's called a battlefield practice. No theory, only fire. I think that really drives the point home. This takes real commitment because you're fighting against all the habits that modern life has drilled into us. This is you directly engaging with your own biology.
So here's the 5-step plan. First, you stop eating 3 hours before sunset. Simple enough. Give your body time to digest. Second, once the sun is down, you kill all the blue light. The source is dead serious about this. Only red or amber light, or even better, total darkness. This lets your melatonin rise. Third, try to stay awake in that darkness for at least an hour. That's when things start to get going. Fourth, and this one's a game changer, if you happen to wake up between 2 and 4 a.m., don't panic and reach for your phone. That's peak autophagy time. Just sit with it, be in it. And finally, step 5, don't eat again until you can actually see the sun the next morning.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The source takes this whole thing beyond just physical health and connects it directly to our state of mind, to our consciousness. This is where the biology becomes almost spiritual. The text suggests that when your body is empty and your eyes are in darkness, something in your brain called the default mode network starts to quiet down. Now, the DMN is basically the neural home of your ego, that constant inner voice that's always chattering away about me, me, me. And the idea is when you stop feeding it constant fuel, both food and light, it just gets quieter.
And this quote is just the perfect way to wrap it all up. When you honor the dark, the light inside you stops flickering. It's the whole philosophy in one sentence. When you align with the natural, ancient cycle of darkness, that inner sun, your focus, your energy, your very consciousness, finds a new kind of stability. It stops being jumpy and starts to burn with a steady, powerful glow.
So we're left with this question. The keeper is hungry. What will you let him eat? And it totally reframes everything, doesn't it? Fasting isn't about starving yourself. It's about feeding the deepest, wisest part of you. It's about making a conscious choice to let the keeper consume all those undigested yesterdays so that something cleaner, stronger, and truer can take their place. A pretty powerful thought to leave you with.